David Foster Wallace said, "The truth will set you free, but not until it is finished with you." I put a little spin on that because of Boeing. The truth will set you free, but not until Daryl Guberman gets through with you. And as Dwight D. Eisenhower said, which I love this statement, it is not the size of the dog in the fight that counts, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Again, my name is Daryl Guberman. I'm the CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. We have a very special guest from Boeing's board. We have Mr. David Gitlin. I think, David, you're a member of the tribe, I would imagine. But who knows? In today's world, people deny things that they should say, yes, I'm proud of it. But who knows? I'm not saying you are or you aren't, but I think you are with David Gitlin. David, we put in a 42-page document. In fact, we have your return card request here that we sent in back in July. Here you go, my address on front. And you never responded. You kept quiet. Maybe all of you had a consensus and say, we can't answer him. Because you know why, ladies and gentlemen? I put in something that nobody else ever put into Boeing, without a doubt. I put in a 42-page document with 11 pages, 11 letters of recommendation for either their CEO and or their head, their VP of quality, which I think they really need help with. But friends of mine say, Daryl, they don't want somebody like you because you'll clean up their system. Well, after I get done showing you, ladies and gentlemen, I am a shareholder. David, I am a shareholder of Boeing stock, but I don't know whether you guys and gals on the board only listen to people who have 10,000 shares or more, or listen to the little guys who have a couple shares here and there, but we're still nevertheless owners. I would say shame on you, but we're going to continue on all of you. Here we go, Dave. We were not invited down there, but we went there on April 17th to stand up and assist. Oh, there we go. Stand up and assist Sam Salipar expose the factor about the design issues. The two pieces of paper that I'm holding up, the two pieces of paper there are documents that show that Boeing gave up supplier auditing and special process auditing, on-site audits to two pieces of paper. You can't make this up. I also went back, I want to hear what David Calhoun had to say. I went back and watched him, and I can never forget, Dave, that there was a woman in back who was screaming that you killed my daughter, you killed my family. But he's getting away with $45 million. My personal feeling, Dave, is as a board member, you ought to put in something. And you know those 32,000 people who are on strike? What you ought to do is you ought to divide up that. You ought to have Dave Calhoun forfeit his $45 million because he's been on the board since 2009. He was made CEO in 2020. He's made enough money. Let's forfeit the $45 million and split that amongst the 32,000 union people. They'll all get $1,406.25. Do the right thing, for God's sake, man. In 2013, I gave a speech at the American Society for Quality, and Mr. Dave Levy was there trying to destroy me, Region 3 director. He couldn't. Nobody can. And I'll tell you why, because we have all our I's dotted and T's crossed, as you're going to see in this presentation to you. Something that you don't know. And if you do know, and you keep on smiling, shame on you. But anyway, he said that ANAB has no problem with me, with Mr. Guberman, and we support you. In the middle, you have Zhao Jinwu, okay, Randy Doherty handing over leadership of the IF, International Accreditation Forum, which is an association of accreditation bodies, both national and international, and their sister organization, ILAC, the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation in Australia. At the time Randy handed to him, he was the chairman of the IF, also the IAF 990 tax form principal, and also the vice president of ANSI-ANAB. Zhao Jinwu now is a special guy because he's been involved with our quality since 1994. He is also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services in Beijing, China. He is also mandated by China, by Xi Jinping. He's also mandated to take our data through the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7, okay? He was there standing in Wuhan, China in 2017, handing a certificate to the WIV, Wuhan Institute of Virology, to a laboratory that was ill-prepared, and I have all the data, okay? And I'm going to tell you how the litany is here. In 2017, a Miss Pamela Sale, down under deposition in Texas because of a laboratory failure, she said She said from one laboratory to another, there were variances and they lacked protocol. She confessed to the release of the COVID virus without a doubt. In 2018, a contingency came from the United States, Dave, and the scientists in Wuhan were crying, basically. They said, we need more trained technicians. So basically, Zhao Jinwu gave a certificate to an ill-prepared laboratory, okay? And the CDC in 2019 May came out, I think it's volume 25, came out with a document, training document for the Wuhan Institute of Virology. They were the only ones mentioned. And it states that the first line of any good Biolevel 4 laboratory to stop the release of any sort of contagions is to have well-trained technicians. So Zhao Jinwu did not put, Zhao Jinwu issued a certificate to an ill-prepared laboratory, okay? And the CDC proved it. And by the way, they sit on ANSI ANAB's board. Here's ANSI. ANSI is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental corporation, been around over 100 years. And they've have both federal agencies and corporations on board. Here's Randy, a real quick picture of Randy and Zhao Jinwu. And then you have ANSI taking, ANSI took over complete control over ANAB in 2018, and they were sitting between 2015 and 21 on the IAF. Now, ANSI is the founder of the IAF, and ANAB is the affiliate. That means they also prove to the factor that they are underwriters. I have government contracts stating that ANSI ANAB are underwriters for the IAF. And also ILAC, the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation. Okay, they handle all systematic and product failure. There you go. Dave, now we get on to Boeing. This is a very stickling spot. You probably don't even know this. Most people don't. And you know what they say? Well, the FAA was soft on them. They weren't soft. You'll see why. Boeing sits on ANSI ANAB's board as a member. They shove ANSI ANAB certification or accreditation down their suppliers and subcontractors' throats. Isn't that a tender moment? For 22 years, Boeing gave up to two pieces of paper, one from Performance Review Institute for special processes, heat treat and welding, etc. And then another one, this was in April of 2002. In July, they came out with a supplier bulletin that said, send in your AS9100 certificate, as long as it's ANSI ANAB accredited, send in your certs, send in your parts. We don't have to come and visit and have an on-site audit for 22 years. Here you go, Dave. This is a good one. 2009, the FAA came in and made some of Boeing's employees FAA inspectors, but Boeing was paying them. At the time, they did not have to tell anyone about new aircraft designs, new aircraft technologies like the MCAS system. Most recently, the DOJ said that Boeing lied to the FAA concerning MCAS. No, they didn't have to tell them because, as you can see, in 2009, they are the FAA. They are the regulator. They are the self-certifier. When the Ethiopian Air and Indonesian Air crashed in 2018-19, you had the FAA spokesperson come up and say, and in an email say, we don't allow any policing of the industry or self-certification. I think somebody's lying to us, don't you? On the supplier portal, you have the factor that the third-party register must be ANSI ANAB or international equivalent, which could be China, Iran, Pakistan, because they are equivalent in accreditation to ANSI ANAB. This is something very interesting, Dave, because most recently they took down this web page. This is from ANSI ANAB's website. They took this down. This is the Management System Accreditation Committee, which can grant, suspend, and withdraw certification. You see down here, you can see Boeing. Okay, Boeing can grant, suspend, and withdraw certification. This is not a tender moment. 2017, when they were still an FAA regulator, because in 2019, that got a little bit swishy there, wishy, but they were caught fudging documentation on the steel that was going into the aircraft. Do you like that, Dave? Isn't that a tender moment? Most recently, Dave, in their composite facility, V-22, they got caught, not writing times, temperatures, and pressures properly from 2007 to 2018. What does that mean, Dave? That means as a composite specialist that I am, my background, aerospace, medical implants, medical materials, printing, and plastic distribution that I have. Okay, that means that in composites, it is critical time, temperature, and pressure. From 2007, 2018, they were kind of, They weren't writing the right proper data down, and they were fined $8.1 million by the DOJ. You have these organizations, the agencies, DOJ, DHS, FAA, and Boeing all sitting on ANSI ANAB's board. And DOJ, you have U.S. Department of Commerce, Homeland Security, Department of Justice, FDA, are all not just members, but they're customers. And of course, we have Robert Kelly.